Hey, hey. Just setting things up here. And hopefully it's not too loud. And make sure everything is set up. So I'm sorry about that. So I'm trying to see a new setup here and see if this works. I'm using my cell phone as a camera, so it gets a better picture, I guess. I don't know. What do you guys think? Yay, nay? But anyways, um, just trying to get back into painting again. And sometimes you leave it for a bit, and it just feels awkward trying to get back into it. And that's what I kind of been doing. I I got myself a Saturn printer, so it's over to the side, and I'm trying to get myself up to creating something with that. So that would be my next thing. We'll put Mr. Owlbear away because that was basically my way of checking things on video. And this guy, I don't know, I think maybe I should finish painting him up. So let's see. Colors and stuff I should be using on him. No idea. Let's see. Might go with a bit yellow ochre. Maybe some blue, some brown. Try some different things here. I'll grab another good brown here. So, grab a few paints. I did get myself a bunch of these mixing balls, so that would be my next idea here, to start putting them inside of each of one of these paint bottles. Got my Goku cup here for painting. It's a much too big mug to use for coffee or hot chocolate. It's just way too big. And I use a wet palette, which you can kind of see in the background. Yeah, back here. And a piece of paper towel. Self paintbrush. This one will do good. It's an Artist Loft cheapy Artist Loft number 2. So pre-wet my wash. Let's get a bit of brown on the palette. And I using my mixer, that's what's making the weird noise if you hear it. I went with one of them to relieve me of wrecking my wrists any further. And of course. We're always going to have some sort of blockage in the paint. Just some beige brown, some dark stone, just to mix in there to make it darker. I'm actually going to go ahead and pop this guy off. Add a couple of beads in there while I'm at it. It's always good to put a couple of beads in there as they go rolling around on the table. Let's see how well this works. Throw 2 in there. Because, you know, I may as well put these in while I'm working on stuff here. So last night it was a struggle with the Traveler game, trying to get it started. Mainly because we were having some technical issues, mostly to do with the updating the software with everybody. It's just not everybody had updated, so there was an issue with connecting. And Dave usually shows up last minute because he's got last minute things to do. Everybody's super busy trying to, get themselves situated in the game. And the problem I've been having with Fantasy Grounds, especially the Unity version now, with all the cool little, you know, the fog of war, the blocking of the walls and all that stuff. It ends up running a little choppy, mainly because I've got I've got OBS running, I've got Discord running, I have Fantasy Grounds running, I've got everybody channeled into my computer, and it starts getting a little laggy on my end. So if I wasn't streaming or anything like that, it'd probably be a lot easier. But unfortunately, it's yeah, it gets a little choppy on my end to go ahead and move things around. I was kind of wondering if there was going to be like trying out a different solution, making it a little easier to run a game and not have these issues where it's just laggy. But we didn't have that problem before, so I think it has something to do with the walls and everything in the Unity engine that it runs in. So that is going to be a bit of a issue. So I'm going to start putting a thin coat underneath here, underneath the tail. So yeah, issues with technology. It's always fun. It's a lot more easier to play on Fantasy Grounds when you don't have the pressure of, of streaming. And it's a little more lighter weight on your machine when you don't have a whole bunch of apps running all at the same time. But that's the way it goes sometimes. I'm just wet blending here. A little bit of lighter color onto that before it dries. And when you're painting also and streaming and you have lights all around you, it makes it a little bit harder to see things properly as well. And the color, I don't know if the color might be coming out a little weird as far as translating to what you're seeing on the camera as compared to real life here. I know as far as I can see, the colors are a lot lighter in real life, so that can be a weird issue. So, color for this guy's suit. I'm not too sure. Not too sure what I'm gonna. It would be a lot easier if I plan things, but I don't know. I mean, I only plan if it's like something from the same sort of army. Like, for example, these guys here. These guys are, basically you get the colors worked out and you start painting them and you just paint them all into one kind of scheme. Well, those guys still need to be completed. Aliens. What kind of color suits would aliens have? Yeah. Questions of the day. Some blue here. I think they're gonna go with a blue suit on this guy. Seems like something like a dinosaur alien would do. Oh boy. Mix this guy up. Yeah, the Vallejo paint is a pretty thick paint, and it's yeah, a lot thicker than the Army Painter. And I use Army Painter and the Vallejo, and that seems. I mean, they're okay. I'm not complaining. They got good colors and. All paints have different pluses and minuses to them. You just have to work around the consistency of the paint. I mean, you thin them down anyways with water, so it with the thicker paints, that's gonna end up being more longer lasting, I guess, because it's thicker. You thin them out. You use. I mean, it's just the bottles of paint last longer, so because you're thinning them. Yeah, that makes sense. And with the thinner paints, you're just using them straight out of the bottle, pretty much. Like the Vallejo Air, I use pretty much straight out of the bottle because they're quite thin. And I mean, I do use them for airbrushing once in a while, but I only tend to airbrush like when I'm doing a batch of models or something. I don't tend to bring out the airbrush when I'm doing like these small models here. Only with the bigger ones. And which means, with the Saturn printer, I'll be printing out probably some larger models coming up here. There we go. It's garbage day. I hear the garbage truck outside. So, I have a way more preference in role-playing games when they're, when you're playing one-on-one or like in a group at the table instead of using like fantasy grounds. I mean, you're gonna have technical issues with everything, so and you just kind of adjust with the technical issues. Uh, so yeah, we'll have the voice and everything worked out next time for um, the next game. That was rough. Because I was ended up being too loud. We had everything adjusted before, but it's always an awkward situation when you start using like extra things in your like I mean, you're always adding new things to your softwares and stuff, and then sometimes Windows will switch your how your voice, how loud things are, and then you have to go in there and readjust them again. I may as well just coat this whole thing in like a dark blue. Just to get the underlying color. I tend to work in layers on these miniatures. Get the closest layer to the skin done first, and then start working on stuff that is like overlapping, like afterwards, because you'll have like belts, buckles, that sort of stuff, and work on the most inner layer, like like I've done the skin. Now I'm gonna be doing the outside, the suit, but I'm not touching like it's okay if you slop on the like over top on the pads here, like the elbow pads and things like that. It's fine because that's going to be coated over later on anyways. But this allows me to paint the paint and then put a like a rub a dry brush layer over top of the paint to get some depth, and then I may as well just color this all in blue here. And then you add the details later on, like we paint over top when you're doing all the belts and everything. You can use a different color, and then you do the same thing with those belts and everything. You add a layer on them of dry brushing. Alright, might as well go all the way up top of the suit too, back here. Ah. It's pretty early in the day, so I'm not expecting anybody to show up on the stream. I just decided to stream something different. Nobody's seen me paint in a while, so it's time to do that. And wow. It's kind of hard to see what kind of details are on the legs here. So a little bit more runny paint just so that it goes into the crevices a little bit more, and I can kind of visually see what's happening. It's kind of like turning my paints into those contrast paints, just so that it goes into the depths, the cracks of everything, and I'm like, oh, okay, I see what's going on here. But in the meantime, you are giving it a coat of paint, just not as strong. But in the darkest recesses, it works, right? Now I don't know what dinosaur these guys are based off of, but some sort of plant eaters, I guess, maybe. I don't know. One of the alien races in Traveler that I kind of like. I'm kind of like, do I really want to use them in the canon? Is or the Hivers? No, not the Hivers. The Kukri. You guys use the Kukri in your Traveler games? I'm kind of like, should I replace them with something different? Like maybe these guys. This seems more, you know, like like when you're talking like you know vegetarian aliens that are vegan aliens that kill all the meat eaters. I mean, it's not like not all of them do that, but that's kind of like the initial impression you get from like I guess what are they called, the thousand. I forget. There was like some sort of thundering um, lizard group. I mean, Kree group that they initially encountered, and they were pretty vicious against um, the Solomani and the Imperium outlying principalities and pocket empires that were out there. I would prefer to have like a race of these guys instead. This could be my Kukri kind of, you know, critters. I mean, it would be more Saurian kind of idea, right? I mean, they don't have really much for Saurian kind of sci-fi guys in Traveler, really, that much. There might be a minor race in there or two. I plan on, adding those kinds of things into the game. Uplifted creatures and hey Sean. Yeah, I know. That Marvel. Yeah. Thanks for joining in on the chat. But Anyways, yeah, I need to do some different things on the channel just to kind of vary it up a little bit. But having it on Sunday is a lot better. Having the game on Sunday is a lot better. It's just like I was just wondering whether or not like something like a using Owl Bear Rodeo or something might lessen the chug on my computer. I mean, I don't have like a computer that's kind of. I mean, it is dated, but it's like you're looking at 3.9 gigahertz for processors divided up into eight. So, but Windows 10 does not like the AMD processor chipsets. So they tends to run a little more sluggish um, than the Intel. I'm gonna have to look up things to see what kind of tricks I can do with tricking out the computer to run a little faster. Because compared to running it previously on Windows 7 Pro, yeah, it took me a long time to go ahead and switch. But 7 Pro was running just awesome, fine on that computer. It's just a lot of my programs like ZBrush and stuff started advancing way too much, and so my and I wanted to use some of the more newer features in ZBrush. Yeah, yeah, Sean, I'm gonna have to try that. Um, Definitely, Owl Bear Rodeo. See if it runs a bit better. I know the guys, they're like, okay, well, this is cool, running in Fantasy Grounds, but and they don't have any chug on their end. Of course, they're running a lot thinner than I am. Yeah. So that might be an option. And let this guy sit for a bit. Let's see some other things to do some um, stuff on. This mutated guy is from Mantix. This was originally from, you tell by the red plastic. This is originally from the, what is it called? Where do I have it? Star Saga. From the Star Saga box, which I highly recommend using. If you want to start a box of miniatures for science fiction, um, Star Saga is awesome because it's cheap. The box set is super affordable, and I mean it gives you a skirmish game in there, which is cool. But it gives you a ton of miniatures to start off with, which is really cool. And the miniatures are pretty darn good. I mean, these mutant guys are pretty wild. Every once in a while, I have to go ahead and tap this. I use I like what I'll do for clear bases. What I'll do is I'll paint on this right now, like as is, because it's solid. But once you get them onto clear bases, I use the UV resin to glue them onto the bases. Because what I find is if you use the Um, if you're using like super glue, the problem is it clouds the base, and then you have to use a bit of I don't know what is it, acetone or something to clean it up. It's not an easy thing to do. And I prefer doing something quick and easy, and using the UV resin works really good, and it sticks them on really fast. Like really, uh, they're not gonna snap off, because the UV resin that you get from it was Green Stuff World that I picked up mine from, and you just put a drop on the feet and touch them to the base, hit them with the UV light, and they are yeah, they're great that way. But yeah, right now this guy's not gonna go anywhere. Like, you know, he's attached permanently. He's molded right to the base. And then once I got him all painted, I'll cut him off the base, and then prop them onto the clear base. So yeah, I do that a lot, because you know, you may as well use the advantage of having that, you know, connection. Like, this ain't gonna pull off unless you twist them off, you know. So now this guy, I'm gonna probably use maybe a dark kind of maroon kind of color. I have to see. I'm gonna go grab a paint here. Some sort of a maroon. Yes. Okay. Can use a purple and I've got some red, purple and red. Purple and red. And mix these guys together and come up with a dark coating on them. So I got to do some dry brush on here and do something really quick. So and able to finish right away. Pop the top off of this guy. Throw in a couple beads. Doink, doink. I bought myself like 3 packages of these, so it was like, what, 300 beads or something like that. I have a lot of paint, so this will definitely help me in mixing stuff. Yeah, I shouldn't be using my wrists like that, but let's get it going. Too many years of being a tile setter. That takes its toll on your wrists and your back, your upper back. You end up getting hunched over all day working on tile. That's a mess. And then they started coming out with cool devices that you roll around on the floor with, where it gives you the support on your chest. You're like you're leaning on top of a unit that keeps you upright, and then you're not using your back muscles. They started coming up with those inventions pretty much when I was trying to get out of it. So now I work retail. So Spencer and I work at the same spot. I'm basically his. I'm not. I'm an assistant manager. I'm not a man like the store manager, but I act like a store manager there, and I'm like the floor operations guy. So everything that goes on the floor is my responsibility, and getting everybody doing tasks and stuff. And if somebody isn't doing something, well, then I get them to do something. That's the way it goes. But I take care of stuff like the shipping, receiving when the shipping receiving guy isn't there. And I take care of any kind of customer complaints. That's my specialty, is talking to people at work. And the funny thing is, you know, when I was a kid, I was a total introvert. And even in my my nerd years, in the late '70s, I was a nerd kid in school, and yeah, I didn't come out of my shell until I uh, started performing on stage, because I was learning to be a bass player, and then my first time on stage it was pretty scary, but I got through it and played with my cousins. I had two cousins that were playing guitar. I played bass, and we did some little impromptu performances at the recreation center. Yeah, it was fun. And it was more jazz kind of stuff, because my cousins, they were more into that kind of stuff. They would listen to like Zappa, more progressive kind of stuff like Yes, and so I started learning a few bass lines and stuff that was kind of similar to that um, style of music. Yes, this guy is very purpley right now. But this is basically the mid tone that I'm going to be using on this guy here. So once again, skin first. That's what I always do, skin. That way you can muck around, you can get as messy as you want. And it's no biggie. Like, you could slop right over the little cuffs that he's got here. Like, these are like, it looks like he's been chained and he broke free, kind of idea. And get into his details of his face and everything. There's some sort of a helmet left over on his head, some sort of a device with wires connected to it on it. So make sure we get everything covered in this. As you're seeing, kind of a lighter purple on the camera. It is a little darker what I'm seeing, so and it's okay if I go on the pants and stuff, because I paint that later over top. And the paint I'm using right now on this is just pure Vallejo. And of course we have some sort of issue going on with my cell phone. Nothing ever runs perfectly smooth, right? There's always going to be some sort of an issue. There we go. Let's see. Are we good there? Let's zoom in. Whoop. Let's go. Then we got an ad that pops up. I'm going to have to do something about the ads here. Yeah, go away. Go away. Look at the detail. Whoop. What on earth? I suddenly went all... And now everything's upside down. Yeah, wonders of technology. Now what? Everything's going to be upside down now? Of course. There. You get to watch it upside down, I guess. Oh boy. Whoop. And now it cuts out. What's going on here? So, let's see. Well, it appears to be working, kind of. Yeah. And just for the sake of my sanity, I'll just leave it like that for now. Yes, paint on the ceiling. Yeah, that's the fun with working with technology and trying to kind of resemble something. Um, well, not professional, but I guess it's entertaining in its own right. So, Sean, what kind of games do you play? What's your favorite? Do you like playing board games? Do you like uh, just role playing games in general? What kind of role playing games? What kind of board games? I play all kinds of games. I have the heat up a little bit in my room here. I got a little unit here that heats up and keeps this part of the basement because I've got my little workshops in my basement here. And then that lets the paint dry a lot faster, which I like. Alrighty, so paint on there is getting fairly dry. Like it's almost ready for me to put a wash on it, for crying out loud. It's that dry. That's the nice thing. Oh yeah. It's 5e in Savage Worlds. Yeah. Like I've got a couple of like people in town here that will pop over and play board games with me. Fortunately, Spencer being one of them. And I had another guy, Josh. He would come over and play. I haven't seen Josh in a while. He quit. He kind of Josh ended up quitting his job and stuff and just disappearing off the face of the earth. He was having issues with the way the shutdown was. He was kind of more of a introvert kind of guy. But he would play games and stuff with us. So and then yeah, he just totally kind of just disappeared off the face of the earth. Yeah, I've tried contacting him a few times and no reply. So I don't know. I hope he's finding the help he needs. So some dark purple wash here. So Savage Worlds and 5e. Yeah, I'm starting to get to know some of the people at the local shop here. Um, I have there's a local game store called Strange Ideas, and it's named such as that because the owner's last name is Strange, like actual strange. So, um, and yeah, and he's got all kinds of cool stuff there. He actually has the new edition of Traveler in his on his bookshelf there, in the store. So which was cool. I ended up talking to another guy, Eric, in the shop there. He's going on a trip, but when he gets back, he says he wants to get together and do some role playing games and stuff. So which is cool. Eric's about my age as well, kind of in that vicinity. I think he's probably maybe 5, 10 years younger than me. But I like to. It's starting to become Easter again, so kind of a heads up. If you want something of a paint pot that you can use, sometimes I will take like a piece of the Fimo or something like that. It's like a clay, and you mix it up and you plant this thing on top, let the clay dry, and then it's on its own little stand. It won't tip over and all that stuff. But these cream eggs are excellent little containers for mixing up paint in them for doing airbrush projects, or if you just need it just to throw some paint in and keep it in there. That works too. So there we go. We have paint in there. And in this case, it's just the wash. So and I'm not thinning this out. Usually I thin it, but in this case I just want the darkest possible wash going in all the creases, and I'll let gravity do its work. It looks messy right now, but that's the way it goes. Yeah, being the grandpa of games. Well, I've grandchildren, and I have 3 kids, and they're here in town, and then 2 are grandkids, so it's 5 uh, in the extended family, and My two youngest kids, they are uh, they're out of school and everything. The oldest, she's the one that has the two grandkids, and the grandkids are still really young. But man, they're smart. Holy smokes! Like the grandkids are almost genius level. It's crazy. Must be must be the genetics of both the families or something. But I wasn't that smart when I was a dumb kid. I wasn't. I wasn't that. I started smartening up when I got into my like later years in school. I was the kid that ended up painting all the in grade 5 you'd have the um, whatchamacallit class, the they would be putting on a school play. So I would be the one being volunteered to do all the backdrops. We'd have these huge backdrops. They used to be like about 4 feet wide panels by about 12 feet tall, at least, and they were massive. And I would paint like a big giant Nebuchadnezzar on there. Back then we the plays were kind of oriented that way. Have biblical themes, and we weren't a Christian school or whatever. They had those in town, but we were we were just a regular school back then in the 70s. I guess this would be around 70, 75, 76, 77. That those years. And yeah, I ended up doing a lot of artwork and stuff back then. Yeah, I kind of lost. I ended up just working. I did this a stint as a graphic artist with Dave from the stream. Dave and I both worked at this place called Beyond Graphics, and we ended up doing a lot of these little mini commercials, examples of work kind of idea. They weren't like actual real commercials; they were just demos and stuff like that. And we did a few commercials that were like actual commercials, and that was all using cell animation and stuff like that. So yeah, my daughter, she she paints minis once in a while. Uh, sh- uh, she is actually quite a good artist right now. You might find her under. I think she. I'll have to find the link to her Instagram and stuff. Her Instagram is pretty actually, rather uh, well known amongst the artists, mainly because she does Corel paint portraits of rock stars and stuff like that. So one of them she did was of the guitar player from Greta Van Fleet, and he actually put it on his Instagram, and people are buying her prints and stuff like that. So, which is awesome. I think that's great. I kind of came down on her early in life, saying, sometimes when you're an artist, a graphic artist, you got to do stuff that you don't like, which you got to work for a company and that sort of thing. But if you're working like freelance and everything, sure you can do a lot of stuff that uh, you have a lot of leeway and artistic license to do your own thing. But the problem is sometimes you got to do stuff that you don't like to do. So, and That's the way it is. However, she kept at it with her own artwork, just doing what she wanted to do. And well, there's often where people will end up um, asking you for the actual prints and stuff like that. So, which was cool. So now she's doing prints and sending them out and making a few bucks. She actually works at like a superstore part time. That's her part time job, but she does enough artwork to kind of help top herself off. My son, who's the youngest, and he's like 19, he's still trying to get a job. So he was working in the oil field, and but he was working with his brother-in-law, who his the guy who's married to my oldest daughter, and he's been a pipe fitter. So he had my son working with him for about 2 months, and it was like um, it was 6 days a week, almost 12 hours a day. And for his first job, yeah, it was brutal for him. Because he's just basically a kid that just plays video games all day, right? And now he's got to try to, you know, work to try to make a competent living. And it was a great job. He was making a lot of money, but he could like 2 months of that, and that was basically it for him. So now he's looking for something a little bit easier. It's a really dark. It's a really dark. Let me get some more light on him. It's a really dark miniature. It's crazy. I have to do some dry brushing on him now. But I gotta wait for this because this wash tends to take a little longer to dry. I'm just missing a couple of spots in there. There. Yeah, it takes a bit to finally set up. So I gotta wait a little bit here. So I guess that means I gotta start painting something else here. Yeah, and my kids, the two young ones, the one who's the artist and the one who's um, my youngest son, they still live at home. So we're like, you got to pay your way here, you know. It's gets me and the wife have pretty good jobs, so she's a manager. She manages a paint store. Um, so she makes twice as much as I do. So I don't know about that, you know. It's funny. Yeah, so she makes a lot more money than I do. I still do pretty good. You know, I could go back to floor laying and then make a lot more that way, but it's just too hard on the body. Too much. Too much. I think maybe I got to do a little bit more. Uh, Darken this up a little bit. Another coat of paint. Super thin once again. So we got too much creep of the zenithal highlighting technique underneath there. It's coming through a little too much. So darken her up again. None of it. I mean, it did have its traditional name as that, but yeah, that was kind of a recent uh, name change, like not too long ago. Keep on hitting my my laptop on the side. Just I have my laptop at the side here showing me what's happening on the chat, and it turns off every once in a while. But yeah, none of it. That was a name change, not too long ago. I guess it was probably what, back in the like the early 2000 or the late 90s when that occurred. Instead of calling it all the Northwest Territories, as that's pretty vast. So I just live south of the Northwest Territories there. A place called Grand Prairie. And it's one of the larger populations up in the northern area of North Alberta. The only other spot that rivals it is probably Fort Mac. But we're far away enough from Fort Mac that a lot of the more regional people just come to Grand Prairie and purchase things. And it's a pretty conservative area, like as far as political things go. A lot of farmers. And a lot of colonies up here. What they call the colonies, they are usually Hutterites. I get along pretty good with the Hutterites. They come into my store, always wanting a deal. So once in a while, I'll give them a deal. Have to do a bit of touching up on this guy once this paint dries. On the back of his neck here, get back to the color of his skin. This camera thing, you know. Okay, I'm actually taking a picture here with my with my cell phone. I have another cell phone coming in. I actually thought I lost this. This is a Note 8. I thought I lost. Yeah, the Northwest Territories. Yeah, they broke it in two. That's basically it. Yeah, yeah. I mean, the Yukon had always been the Yukon, so it has always been a separate territory in Canada. But yeah, none of it ended up being something new. And it's, it's a very unusual area up here. I don't know if you've ever encountered the during the summer we get it's light out until God. In some cases, around 1 o'clock in the morning, because the sun is just dipping over the horizon, but it's like a perpetual, dusk. But seriously, the sun is still actually up in the sky at around 11:30 at night, like in full. So, but during the winter, it gets like super dark. So, and our winters tend to last a lot longer than our summers. So, I mean, right now I should be outside getting some sun because we rarely do get sun. But I'm here just painting away. So it's 1:45. So guess go to this guy, and I'm going to do a quick dry brush, and I think that's going to be it for this stream. I'll probably pop on later on tonight too, because it's my day off and I feel like streaming today, but I do have to get some other things done as well. My favorite store downtown, like Strange Ideas, is not open right now. Sunday is the guy's day off, so let me get a brush here for doing some dry brushing. Get something a little bit harder bristle here. Yeah, this guy will work. It's a fairly wide brush. Get a bit of paint here. A bit here on some paper towel. Like so. And I'm going to do kind of a medium dry brush, not a light dry brush on this guy. I want to get I want to keep the purple in the crevices, but I want to lighten it up too with this red. And then add a little more lighter color shortly here. There's probably a few of you guys going, why are you doing this on a Chessex map? And, isn't that going to be hard to clean? And, I use, I'm going to go get some today as some orange, I think it's called contractor orange. And you use that on your Chessex mat. You do have to wipe it down fairly good, because if you don't, it'll be feeling a little greasy. So trying to get enough red crimson on there with that underlying purple in the crevices. a little bit of a wetter paint this time. There we go. Just to amp that up a bit. Get the bottoms of his, the tops of his feet. Yeah, I'm gonna actually, I'm gonna use more of a fleshy color next for like a more of a pink. Yes, that'll be the final add-on to this. So there we go. It looks a little weirder than it does on camera than it does, in real life. It's amazing how different things look sometimes. So. In real life than this on camera. Sometimes it's better, sometimes it isn't. What the heck? Let me get back onto the screen here. Yeah, and then I'm going to use something a little lighter. Probably this guy over here, since I have this stuff. I'll mix that a little bit with a tinge of red, and that will definitely be used for the highlight part. So get a little bit more red here on the brush. The spots that top of his fists. There we go. And I always try to go a little brighter in the color up on top, because that's tends to be the best way of applying your paint, making it look brighter on the upper areas of it. There we go. Perfect for now. It's so different seeing it on screen than it is in real life. It's so weird. I might have to like take like a picture of it and like an actual photo. So all the crazy lights and everything in here. So it's as far as I'm gonna go with today right now. Yeah, I'll pop back on a little bit later on tonight because we usually have a few more people able to come on, and I might end up with like maybe I'll turn on Discord and have maybe some of the guys come on, do some discussions while I am doing this. I see Condor's back on. Back again. He finally got his channel back. And he's decided he's going to talk more about politics and weird stuff. So, fine. Good for him. He says he's a good debater. He debates, but I've never seen him debate ever. He would rather just if instead of having you do a discussion with him, he'd rather just block you. So even though he says he doesn't do that, he does. Anyways, that's it for today. Thanks, Sean, for dropping by and giving me a little bit of feedback. And I'm going to check out that Owlbear Rodeo a little bit more, and then I'm going to do. I may have to go ahead and purchase this this crazy phone app in order to get rid of the ads and make this a little bit more stable for me. And I'll talk to you guys later.